In this video, I'm going to tell you guys about why KovaaK's 3.0 will be a massive update. It's going to be revolutionary for really TAC FPS game training and honestly all of speed training. If you can't tell, I'm pretty sick today, so recording clean audio is a bit of a struggle. If I sound off, that's why. So when you end up launching KovaaK's 3.0, you'll notice that everything seems to be almost the same. There's no huge noticeable features, all the UIs are pretty much the same, and the game will play pretty much the same. The only thing that you may notice is that they made it a bit easier to search for online playlists. But don't let this deceive you. This is a massive update and it's going to set Kovacs apart from any aim trainer that does not have these features. I was one of the people who got deceived by this update seeming really insignificant, so I ended up DMing my friend Stark, who suggested a ton of the new features to Kovac, and most of them are for level designers. These changes will make no difference right now, but over the coming weeks and months, map creators will have a ton of tools to work with that solve some of the biggest issues in TAC FPS aim training. Before I can actually get into what these features are, I have to explain why we have problems. At the moment, if you want to train flicking your mouse as fast as you can, you have to either find a TAF or reflex scenario with a perfect timescale for you, or play a target switching scenario, or a static clicking scenario with a focus on speed, which will inevitably tank your score. If you use like a reflex scenario or a target acquisition flick and the time scale is too fast, you'll end up never hitting anything, never seeing any progress, even if you are improving. If you use one that's too slow with a time scale that's just too slow, then what'll happen is you'll just be playing an accuracy-based scenario trying to hit every target slowly and smoothly. That makes it really hard to find a good scenario that properly forces you to get out of your comfort zone. You end up outgrowing these scenarios very quickly and have to basically constantly make your own scenarios. And for general routines, it's literally impossible to put in a reflex-based flicking scenario that will work for everyone. Even if I'm just coaching someone, it's really impossible for me to find the best routines and scenarios for them because I don't know exactly how well they'll be doing on a certain target acquisition flick and how well they'll be doing it in 2 days or 3 days, and it's just really hard to keep up with that kind of development. There have been a bunch of attempts to fix this problem, but they can really fall into two categories. The first is playlists like the first H&A routine where you're really just forced to focus on speed and target switching and try and just move as fast as possible. The second is practicing while going below like 80% accuracy or 90% accuracy or whatever and trying to not get perfect accuracy so that you're forced to focus on speed. I know this was really popular back a few years ago with Christmas is Cancelled and VF Zeke really advocating for it. Before I can explain how KovaaK's 3.0 solves this issue, I have to ask you to subscribe. I literally just make aim training content, so if you made it this far in the video, you'll like really all of my videos. Now, the first important feature is that targets can now degenerate health over time. Basically, what this means is that a target may start at 20 health and work its way down to 0 in 1 second and then die, obviously, because it has no more health. Now, this alone is actually pretty useless, and in fact, it's technically possible under the current version, it's just not very easy to make. What makes this so beneficial is another new feature in KovaaK's 3.0. It allows the ability to lock the damage you do onto the target's total health. So if your gun does 20 damage, but the target has 15 health left or 15 health total, your gun will only do 15 damage when it kills the target. So score the scenario on damage and all of a sudden your score forces you to aim as quickly as possible because as the target loses health, killing it gives you less points. Now at first glance, this doesn't seem like it'll actually help you improve. Most people looking for game-specific training don't actually care about score and are fine with getting a bad score for improvement. There's no real good feedback in that, and you have no idea if you played well, so your brain has a much harder time adapting and learning from that session. Feedback is really important for your brain to know what it's doing right and what it's doing wrong and make changes accordingly. Now, I believe these new scenarios will make routines like the H&A routine and other routines that encourage playing scenarios wrong somewhat irrelevant. Obviously, if you're disciplined and really staying focused on the H&A routine, you can continue to play the scenarios wrong and understand when you're doing it right and when you're doing it wrong and get good enough feedback and improve well with that. But I believe this new kind of scenario is going to be huge and either create routines that'll replace the H&A routine and obviously include some scenarios from the H&A routine, or update the H&A routine to make it much better, and really any other routine that does something similar to the H&A routine. Now, this isn't the only cool new feature with this update. There's now the ability to decide what directions the bots start out strafing in. This can reduce RNG in some scenarios, make others more viable for training peeking, and just give map designers a little more flexibility when creating scenarios. The last really important part of this update is this new feature called the Map Creator. This will make it a lot easier to create maps so that people who aren't exactly experienced map creators but have some idea what they want to make can make new Kovacs scenarios, and so that experienced map creators can have an easier time making new scenarios. This will really open up a lot of possibilities for more Kovacs scenarios in the future. Now, what I think is really cool about this update is it really emphasizes what Kovacs is all about. Kovacs stands out from other aim trainers because it has a strong community that's really focused on making custom scenarios and helping grow the aim trainer. And this new update is going to give that community a lot more to work with and help it out a ton. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more aim training content.